Hey everyone, this is A Squared Conversation, a podcast all about having honest and vulnerable conversations with impactors in the Philadelphia community that inspire all of us to show up for ourselves and one another unapologetically and to embrace who we are as a community authentically. We'll explore topics such as the importance of mental and physical health in running and the celebration of unique personal stories within the community. I am your host, Aaron Nixon, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Lauren Kobylarz, the Executive Director of Students Run Philly Style, an organization that transforms students' lives through running and mentorship. Students Run Philly Style mentors help students grades 6 through 12 accomplish this goal, the completion of a full or a half marathon. Students Run Philly Style youth learn that the road to success is not always clear, but with persistence and determination, they can create a road to achievement that is ultimately their own.
Lauren Kobylarz, welcome to A Squared Conversation. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I'm happy to be here.
Of course. We've been talking and planning this for months, since the summer.
Yeah.
And it feels so great to just have you sitting here. And I just cannot wait to hear your insight, just your story with Students Run, your story before Students Run, and also just some of the things you enjoy doing for fun, when you're not mentoring. But it's such an honor and a pleasure to be sitting here with you. Yeah, for the listeners and viewers at home, if you're watching this, I can't stop smiling because anytime I sit down with Lauren and have a conversation with you, it's probably one of the most enlightening conversations I ever have. And I always walk away with the tears. It's interesting. You and I always say we can make each other cry. You truly can. So I don't have any tissues with me today, but I'm going to go like this with my sleeve. But yeah, it's so good to have you here.
Good. Yeah, we're going to try for no tears.
Yeah, we're going to try for no tears, everyone. But yeah, Lauren, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing good. It's been a beautiful day, actually.
Yeah.
So that's always a nice thing. Anything outside, I'm always down. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Good
Weather's
day.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a little bit of fall.
Yeah.
But we had an Eagles win today. Which is great.
We did.
Yeah. After 2 losses.
Yeah.
And a win was very much necessary.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Today, Lauren, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about Students Run, how you joined Students Run to being kind of the executive director. But to start us off, tell me a little bit about some of the activities and the fun things that you enjoy doing when you're not mentoring, when you're away from, your role. Yeah, just what are your activities and hobbies that you really, really love?
Yeah. I mean, I do love to run. So
Yeah.
I can't put that to the side and say I don't do that on the, on my free time. I really do enjoy running, but I do other things, believe it or not. I realized that I really love to make stuff. So, I really love to take a new recipe and do something I've never done before, try something out, either cooking or baking and really any complicated Christmas cookie, I'm all over it, that kind of thing. And then, I have a garden. I really enjoy spending time in my garden in the backyard. Not a big garden, backyard, South Philly backyard garden, but truly enjoyed that. And probably the most little known fact is that I sew in my free time. I learned how to sew when I was a kid from my aunt, and during the pandemic, I picked it back up, and I made quilts. So mostly as gifts, and it's mostly baby quilts kind of thing. But I just enjoy the math of it and the creativity of it, but it's very structured creativity. So I've learned I was reflecting on that and saying, what do I like to do? And I really do enjoy taking something start to finish and seeing how it develops. So that's a little bit about me. And like I said, probably the least known fact is the sewing part.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I've tried sewing. I don't think that I have the best coordination for it. I mean, you can tell me what that process is but for some reason, my left fingers, my left hand and my right hand, they just don't work together. They don't have proper communication. So it's if I were to start something, it's oh no, what are you actually doing, Aaron?
Interesting. I think we can get you there.
Oh, please do. That would be perfect. That'd be perfect. Actually, this is actually a sewing podcast, guys. It's no longer a Squared Conversation. Surprise. Tell me a little bit of, you mentioned the Christmas cookies, a really special Christmas cookie. What is another thing that you really enjoy baking?
Oh,
because I love a good pastry.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a great question. I feel like it could be anything. Also there's this is so small, but I can say whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So there is a restaurant in South Philly called Stina, and they make a chocolate tahina buttercream cake.
Oh, that sounds so
and
delicious.
it is like so good, and it's my favorite dessert probably in the whole city. And during the pandemic, you know, when things were kind of shut down, I like tried really hard to recreate that, and I probably made like 15 of them, like small ones, like individual, like mini ones, and I was like giving them to friends and stuff. But specifically that cake is probably like another thing that I've made that I've been like, it's not the same. Like I did not fully duplicate it, but it was still very good. So something like that, I think, like making a cake for something special is also really fun for me too.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. Yeah. See, you know what? This is going to be a sewing podcast.
I know.
We can go on.
This is about running and running things.
I know. Yeah. But we can add in a little spice to it for sure.
There are a lot of squares and quilts, so we can work that in.
Okay. So bringing it back to running. I know we're back, guys. Have you ever baked anything for Students Run?
Ooh, I do make cookies for our staff quite a bit, and people get special treats around their birthdays and stuff on our staff. Nice. Last year, our whole team for Students Run's birthday did a cake decorating class, which was really fun. So I, you know, depends. Mostly for our staff, I will bake stuff, but not for all of our students because there's like 1,500 students. So that would be a lot.
That would be an entire week of baking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. You have to let me know the next time you're doing that.
All right.
It's going to pop up.
You let me know what your favorite dessert is. I take requests.
Oh, yeah. I'm sending you a request once we're done recording. You'll get the text message.
In September, there was a key lime pie and a red velvet cake. So I take requests.
Okay. Perfect. Anything snickerdoodle? Maybe something like that flavored? Yeah. I got you.
Okay.
You know, being executive director with Students Run for 3 years now, right?
Yep.
And you're mentoring kids, grades 6 through 12, and helping them run and accomplishing like their very first race. What are the races that you guys are training them for? Yeah.
So our Students Run students and mentors do 9 races a year typically, or they have the opportunity to do 9 races a year.
Yeah.
The key races that we do are the Independence Blue Cross Broad Street Run, the Philadelphia Distance Run, Half Marathon and 5K, and the Philadelphia Marathon, Half Marathon, and the Rothman 8K. So those are kind of our milestone events, but we do, usually it's about 1 race a month from April through November. So plenty of great local community races as well.
That's going to be, I love the energy of the Philly Marathon and the Half as well, and the Rothman 8K. Like everyone out there is just, the spectating once again is just so palpable, and you really do, like when I'm cheering the runners on and I see anyone with a Students Run shirt and I see the mentors and I see the students, I get even more energized and get even more excited because I know, you know, you and I have had conversations about the work that goes into mentoring the students, and just seeing them just going for it and really persevering, like that warms my heart. Like, knowing that, you know, the grades 6 through 12, you're mentoring plenty of kids and students from different walks of life and different experiences and different types of personalities. I'm kind of curious, what were you like as a kid growing up?
I thought a lot about this.
Yeah.
And the word that comes to mind is studious, I think. I was a pretty like serious student person.
Yeah.
I did a lot of different activities in school. I played soccer all year round. It was my first sport love for sure. You know, I swam. I kind of ran track. I was really not a runner growing up at all. But I did it occasionally to stay in shape for other sports.
Yeah.
But I really focused on school. Both of my parents were educators. They were both high school teachers. And so like school was a priority all the time. So, yeah, I have friends from growing up, and I think they would probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
Studious, but also like very involved in everything in my school as much as possible, I think. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I was pretty studious as well. I definitely had my head in the books. I wanted to go out for track, but for some reason, like it just intimidated me. Like I enjoy recess and, you know, lunchtime and going out and running. Like we would do these exercises where we would run from one end of the yard to the other end, but it always just like terrified me. Like just people, I think it was more so like people cheering me on and me getting nervous and kind of like becoming a shell of myself. So I was definitely more of like that creative, artistic type, like reading. I love the creative writing classes. I love, like I was in honors English in high school. Like I just was a book bookworm and a book nerd. Yeah.
I'm the same exact way. Like I loved reading and writing and, you know, anything that had to do with that. Worked for our school newspaper, like really just loved like telling a good story.
Same. And
but not on a stage. That's not me.
You're sitting here, you know, so now you're able to tell your story, but also the story of all of the students that you're impacting and mentoring as well, right? So it kind of comes back full circle in a way, you know. One of the things I love doing is writing, and I find that doing this podcast has allowed me to be able to kind of hone that talent and be able to have a platform for people to share their stories, and, you know, in the community being able to resonate with everyone that I've had on. It really is something that allows me to kind of continue to elevate and kind of work through that creative process. I just love it. So look at us kind of like living out those teenage and those younger years. I love it. It's so cool. Wow. You have been with Students Run Executive Director for 3 years. Tell me, and the viewers and listeners at home, how did that come about? And what was that trajectory like for you to become with Students Run?
Yeah. So I started with Students Run as a volunteer. I moved to Philly after college for a job. I worked at another nonprofit, and almost within a year of moving here, I started volunteering with Students Run. And I did that for 4 years. And then there was a job opening on the staff as a program manager. And I just like could not wait to raise my hand to apply for that job. So that was 12 years ago that I applied to work at Students Run. And so I've had 3 different roles since then. This is the most recent one, the last 3 years as the executive director. And so, I've done a lot of different roles with our program as a program staff person. And this more recent role is really more about, strategy and partnerships and fundraising, which is something where I actually started my nonprofit career, was in a fundraising role at another nonprofit. So it's been an interesting journey, 3 years has gone by really quickly, I feel like, and I've learned a ton, and I've always just loved this organization, and it's just an honor to be in this type of role there and to take on this type of responsibility. And I just feel like that's my job now, is to do everyone proud in this role.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting to your point of, like being 12 years total, right? But 3 years as an executive director. What would you say, or how have you kind of like changed and grown personally throughout like the advancement from starting out with Students Run to where you are now? Like, how has that impacted you?
Yeah, I mean, I think even as a volunteer, it had a huge impact on me. When I moved here, when I started volunteering with Students Run, I had run a half marathon once in college, and it was because someone thought I couldn't do it, and I just like needed to see if I could do it. And when I moved here, I was like running, but not like in any kind of structured way. And then I started volunteering, and it's what made me want to run my first marathon, because I saw that the young people in this program were doing a marathon, and I was like, all right, like, can I do that? And like, that's just been always the question, like, can I do that? And like showing that I can is like just a super incredible feeling. And I don't know. I think like that from then on, like this continues to like change my life. Like it continues to show me like, that we can try things and do things that might seem hard or challenging, and with the right support and structure, like you can do it. And so I don't know, I feel like that's been pretty consistent throughout the time where, I've just been learning and like, things change and you learn more, so maybe that's not super specific, but in 12 years, like I've learned a ton of things. It's shaped me as a person, me as a professional. Every person that comes into this orbit of this organization, like changes it. And so like I've learned from so many people, and I really just have to credit like the people around me that are part of this community. It's unmatched in my life.
Yeah. I love that. You can see the love that you have for them and how passionate you are about it. It comes across, your body language, your facial expressions, and just how invested and involved not only yourself, but all the other mentors are as well. And I got to think, like you said, 12 years, that's a lot of time, and a lot of growth and a lot of, I guess like seeing people come and go throughout the nonprofit organization, and then also different students as well, like seeing them start off and then seeing them kind of grow in a way.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you are only able to grow when you have different perspectives, and people with different voices who can elevate a community and also elevate you. And I, I'm going to dive in, but I love, you and I had a conversation about the Outpace program, and how important that is to the community right now, especially during this political climate, and how we need, advocacy and people to stand up and take a stand and really fight for what they believe in, and also communities that people aren't necessarily fighting for. How do you broach those conversations, like those difficult conversations where some people may be a little bit more hesitant or resistant to even, discuss certain things?
Yeah. I think that's an important question. I think that's also like, it's the question, right? Like, how do we continue to stand up when it feels harder, right? And I think at Students Run, this has evolved with us, right? As an organization, like we have a program that provides training for our volunteers, support for our students, specifically our LGBTQ plus students and allies. And I think it's especially important right now to stand on those values. We haven't really changed any of those things that, and I think continue to have that conversation, having it be part of our trainings, having it be part of our everyday conversations in terms of planning and strategy and goals. I think that's really important. So your question was really like, how do you keep having those conversations? I think like, you can't worry about doing it perfectly. You have to just do and continue to course correct and continue to improve and build on what you've done. Because if you spend all of the time admiring the problem, you're missing the opportunity to do something that really impactful. So, I think there's a lot of different ways that our organization and our staff and our mentors have done that, and showing up and showing that you can be who you are in this space is really important, whether that's having visibility at your events, whether that's using specific language and pronouns that feels inclusive. Like those are, someone might say, oh, those are small things, but when you put them all together, they add up into a big thing, and that's creating a space that feels like everyone belongs here. And that's the goal. That's the goal. So
I think back to all of the experiences that I've been able to have and come across people within the running community, and not knowing that these things even existed, and like what Students Run Philly Style would have been able to do for me, as a teen who just didn't know how to communicate or really find his community and feeling alone. Being able to see that for the students that you're mentoring now, and it's not just racing, it's not just, it's also giving them the mental capacity and mental strength to be able to know that they can do anything that they put their mind to. There's the physical component to it as well, but there's also that mental component too. Knowing that running is a critical piece of feeling valued and safe, and sometimes that is all that people have, right? I mean, running wasn't all that for me. I talk about it so many times on this podcast of how it pretty much saved my life. How do you continue to make Students Run Philly Style, yourself and the mentors, a safe space, and a place of joy, and support, and continue to foster that type of that vibe and that environment? Yeah,
I feel like, now in the role I have now, and like being on the staff, like I don't get the same interaction with our young people at the way I used to when I was a mentor. But I do think it's helpful that I've had that experience because I know what it feels like to kind of be in those shoes. But I think our program allows for such a range of people coming as they are into our program, whether that's a young person or a mentor. We have 60 different sites across the city. We work with 1,500 young people. These are just numbers, but they're important numbers. We have 400 volunteer mentors. And so that means that like people will young people will find what they need. They have many different adults that they can go to. All of our teams run in groups. And so, you know, if you have multiple adults with multiple students, it's not a one-to-one pairing of like, your mentor is this person. You can go to multiple people for what you need. And I think that that's like one way that really helps create that experience and community and build relationships. And so like this program is about empowerment and relationships and the running is there, but that's the vehicle, not the driver, you know? And so I think that that's really important. And I hope when we're at our best, right? Like we're not always, no person is, but like when we, I think as a community are at our best, we're creating a space where young people can feel empowered and find some joy in something they're doing, you know, when the world feels hard, like this is something that's in that locus of control. And I think as adolescents grow, like their brains are growing, they're developing, like this is a place where they can safely test themselves. And I think that is really powerful to learn that about yourself in a very safe way. So
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. The saying that it takes a village is very true, right? I at one point looked up how to become a mentor on the Students Run Philly style page. And one of the things I find so special, and it goes to the point of elevating each other's voices, especially the students. You guys do a student spotlight on the website. I love that. That is incredible. For like, you know, for someone to go on to the Students Run Philly style page and to be able to see that their voice is elevated and that their experience is, you know, could be unique to them or someone else is experiencing the same exact thing, but there is community there, there's strength there, and there is love there, and that they're valued. You know, that is something really special. And I actually shed a tear reading and seeing some of the students that were highlighted. And, you know, the first line was always, I didn't think that I could do this, or I started off not knowing that I could run. And then the very last sentence is always, but I did it, or I accomplished it, or this mentor helped me to realize my own strength. How does that feel, you know, after you're training for these races, you're mentoring, and then seeing them come out and accomplish something that major, you know, because to some it could be minor, but I think that this is something major that everyone needs to be able to celebrate. It's something very special. How do you feel when, you know, those student spotlights are happening, or when they just cross the finish line and they're just very joyful about what they've been able to accomplish?
I mean, I think for every spotlight we share, there are 100 that we didn't, you know what I mean? And so that's like the cool thing is like, I think every person in any runner, I think probably, at least for me, I would think like every runner has a story of like, I wasn't sure, you know, and I think we've all had those moments as runners and as people, you know, like it translates beyond running, but like as a runner, I'm confident that most people I know would have at least one moment of I wasn't sure and fill in the blank, right? I wasn't sure I could, you know, finish that. I wasn't sure I could run that time, you know, whatever your goal is. I'm sure that everyone has moments of doubt. And so like, yes, like it's great to see that. It's great to see that someone who is maybe in their teenage years is learning that. And I think, you know, a lot of people don't learn that right at that age. And that's, I think, part of the thing I love about our program is it teaches that lesson at an early age of like, just because you didn't think you could doesn't mean that you won't or that you can. And I think we see that over. I mean, in 12 years, I've seen that hundreds and hundreds of times. I would guess I would probably say thousands of times now. And that's special, you know, and it doesn't ever get unspecial for me. And you know, our young people can be in our program from 6th grade through 12th grade. So that means sometimes we have people who are in it for 6 years. And when you're 18, 6 years is a big part of your life, you know, and a memorable one. And I think an unforgettable one in a lot of ways. And, you know, our 6th graders do not run the marathon, obviously, but by the time you're a senior in high school, if you've been with us that long, you probably are, or you're running the half, or you're doing something new or something meaningful. And so it never gets old, you know, like what is it? How does it feel? It feels it feels really gratifying to know that you've been just a tiny piece of that. Like, because it's really, you know, anyone who trains for a 10 mile or a half, a full, like, they get out what they put into that.
100%,
but just to be there and be part of it is so special. And it keeps me going. It really does. It has never gotten old at any of these times. It never gets old.
Yeah. I know that it has to be, and I think you mentioned this, but like very rewarding, you know, and it almost, them being able to realize that they are strong, and they have courage and they have the fortitude to be able to do something at an early age versus later. You think about this thing like sooner or later, them learning it sooner than later, because sometimes later, I mean, it's special and it's magical whenever you're able to learn that you have power, and you are capable to do whatever it is that you put your mind to. But in those teenage years, those formative years, is really important to be able to have representation, a model, and someone to help shape you. It's easy. I want to say it's easy, but I think as we get older, sometimes we're able to kind of self-soothe in a way, and we're able to, we know how to navigate that voice in our head that's telling us like, okay, you can't do this, or you can't get to the next goal in life, or the imposter syndrome. Sometimes that happens to all of us when we don't think that we deserve something, right? What do those conversations, you know, between you and other mentors look like when a student is lacking inspiration or motivation, and, you know, that they can't do something?
I mean, I think we're in a space where, I'll quote Des Linden. I will not say this is me, but like truly, like, keep showing up is like the biggest thing. Like, that's these long distance races. We're asking a young person to set a goal. Like, we're working with a young person to set a goal that's 9 months away, you know, or 6 months away, or, you know, and most people at that age, they're not thinking months and months and months away. Like, it's just not the way the brain is wired at that age. Like, adolescents are wired to be thinking in a more short-term way. But that skill of thinking ahead and thinking long-term is something that can be learned and developed. And so to ask that is kind of big, I think, at that age. And that keeps showing up, and that idea that, like, if you put the time in, you will accomplish this. That's the way that running works. Like, and it's a beautiful thing that it works that way, because it is very much dependent on you showing up, believing in yourself, trusting that you will get there, having some support to get there. And, like, you will cross that finish line if you do those things. And so I think that is always, like, in the conversation. Like, everyone has days they don't feel like running. Like, everybody does. I think, right? I haven't met anybody yet that has never had that moment. I had one today, you know?
Exactly. Same. I was planning to get a run in this morning, and I did, but oh my gosh, it was just such a tug and pull.
Don't want to. And that's okay. And I think that's part of it too, is having that conversation is actually probably more important than the conversation of keep going. And, like, also acknowledging, like, it's okay to not feel like you want to, you know, and you can decide if this isn't the day to do it, that's okay, but hit the next one. And so, like, I think it's many layers of that, and kind of talking through that, and deciding to be vulnerable and sharing your own experience at times or not, can help somebody get there. And in terms of motivating, you know, we're all motivated by different things, like helping to understand what's motivating that person. That's any type of good coaching, I think. But truly, like, that long-term ask is a big ask. Like, we're living in this world of, like, immediacy all the time. And I think a marathon, you can't do that. You just can't. You know, you can't chat GPT a marathon, you know, you can't like scroll through, you know, we're used to, like, short clips and things, and typing something into Google and getting the answer, and like, a marathon does not work that way. There's no way to fake it, and there's no way to filter it. There's no way to speed it up. Like, you have to put the time in, and I think that's what makes it so rewarding. And I think maybe it's becoming more unique in this world to do stuff like that. So I don't know. I think that's motivating in and of itself. It's different, and it is still a very unique thing to do, I think.
You said something earlier, and I kind of want to go back to it for a second, where you said sometimes just telling them that like it's okay to not be okay, or it's okay to not have that, the energy to want to get out there and, knock out a few miles. Do you see, or have you noticed the shift sometimes when they're lacking inspiration and motivation, and then once they're able to feel validated in a way that it's okay to not show up, I guess maybe 100% for this run? Do you notice a shift in like the energy of them feeling a little bit more calm or more at ease, and that it's easy for them to take on the next thing?
Yeah, I think I can speak from my own experience as a mentor. I'm sure our mentors have had many different wonderful experiences, but yeah, I think like I've had days with a student where I've been like, you know what, this isn't the day, and that's all right. And we're going to walk, and that's fine. Like our program is run, walk, run, doesn't, move forward is really the goal there. And if you have somebody that's it's just, sometimes it's just not your day. Yeah. And that's fine. But let's talk about how are we going to make sure we feel good about the next one or the next one. And, we've been there. I've been there, and I do think it helps. Yeah. It helps take the pressure off, and it helps. I think for me, at least, the relationships I've had with young people in that mentoring capacity have been very much around like, if I tell them it's okay on that day, it actually builds trust more of like, wow, this person really does believe that I'm going to be able to do this, and they're not just here to watch a, like, and so like it's humanizing, and that's a good thing. So
and is you're in a way giving them the permission to just simply be them.
Be here. That's all. Just be present. Be here. In whatever way you need to be, that's okay.
Exactly. Like just be, and I think of like just be a human being and not a human doing. Just be yourself. Don't try to continue to strive for something if in the moment it just doesn't feel right to you. Countless and plenty of times where I think I have to get up and do something, and some days I'm just not feeling it, and I have to sit back and reflect with myself on why I'm doing this. And I think it comes back to like, what is the why, like giving yourself grace within that why too. And it's not just black and white. There are the shades of gray.
Yeah. And we can always reframe the goal, right? Like there's a lot of power in that too, of like, maybe you started our program in March and you're like, I'm running the marathon, but you get into the summer and you're not feeling that. Like it's also okay to set a new goal at any point and decide that this is what you need right now. That's fine too. And I think our program really does embrace that. We don't push a specific distance on anybody at any point. We do ask that people, put in the effort and the time, but it's your race and your pace. And we are very much, I just believe that I've seen that many times, like people reframing, and that's a great lesson too. That's really powerful. Yeah.
Oh, Lauren,
you're owning your own race. That's the whole point of it. Yeah.
I love what you just said, like reframing what the goal is. And also like what that internal intention is too, and it's about having those conversations. Yeah. And I think, yes, the reframing can come from within, but also there's a level of vulnerability that you need to be able to have with your community. But it takes truly feeling safe.
Yeah, true.
Truly feeling safe and acknowledge, and once again, feeling seen and heard, the representation, the visibility, and the reason why you're able to gain that, have that trust, and be able to have those conversations is because the mentors and the leaders are doing it with each other.
They put in an incredible amount of time. Like that stuff doesn't just happen. It's 3 days a week. I think people see us a lot at races and they're like, oh, that's so cool, and like races are like less than 10% of the time of what our program is and offers and does, I guess. But like our mentors and our students spend a lot of time together throughout the year, 3 days a week, 9 months. That's a significant amount. And I think that shows and that pays off. And I think you get out what you put in, and I would love to think that people are getting a lot out of it because they're putting a lot into it.
Even when they're not running, like when they're just handing out water at the water zones, the hydration zones, like they're so energetic and so pleasant. I always feel like they're giving me a cup of life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, this is what I need to go on. I'm like, oh, thank you so much, Students Run.
Young people are awesome.
Mhm.
Like, they really are. Like, their
Yeah.
hearts are big, their eyes are open, you
Yeah.
know, like, they just truly are inspiring.
Yeah.
No matter what they're doing, I would totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I very rarely leave
Yeah.
any Students Run event without a smile
Yeah.
that's bigger than when I came in.
Yeah. And like you said, you know, their hearts are big, their eyes are wide, you know, they are so earnest
Yeah.
with what they're doing. It's always kind of like full circle or going back to, but it's like, that's why they need that encouragement at such a young age, because it just continues to allow them to just be, right? If they feel like their thoughts matter, if their goals matter, whatever they're interested in, their hobbies, activities matter, of course, they're going to be able to show up and have that smile, right? Because they're being energized and fueled through Students Run Philly style, through the mentors, through their community, that, hey, this is a truly special place and I feel loved, you know? So that love is able to be reflected back on how they're interacting with everyone else, you know, runners and runners alike that they haven't even had a personal conversation with. People are able to feel it. Yeah. So,
cool.
Yeah, I love that.
I love hearing that.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, it's truly something special, right? Like, I wasn't running, I picked up running at the age of 16, but if I had known about Students Run Philly, so I definitely probably would have pushed my parents to be like, okay, can we get into this? You know, like, and just having those mentors would have, I know what having a mentor at that time, how that would have impacted me. What resources do you find best to help you in your day-to-day life? You know, when you're not feeling it, you know, and you start the show for the students, what are some things that centers you, Lauren?
Yeah. I'm smiling because everyone on our staff is always like, you say that about everything, because every event is my favorite event. I'm always like, this is my favorite event, and they're like, you say that about every event, and it's still true.
Let her have the favorite event.
It's still true. They're all my favorite. I do want to credit our staff. I think we have an incredible team, and our mentors, and our community as a whole, parents, caregivers, family members of our students, like, they show up and they show out for all these races and events and practices. And like I said, the stuff we don't see as much, you know, all the training that you and I do as a runner for a race, it's all happening there just at you know, after school and, you know, during the day when maybe you're not like seeing it. But I think, like, knowing that there are so many people that are keeping this train moving is I think that's grounding in a way too. Like, I don't worry. You know, I make sure that I know that the people who are stewarding this, their hearts are in this, because it has to be. And I know that, like, to give that much time, like, people do this because their hearts are in it. And I think that's really grounding. I also, you know, have a good support system, friends, family. You know, my husband is awesome. You all don't, another behind the scenes thing nobody sees is you know, he's the problem solver that nobody sees, I think, most of the time. So I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for that. And, you know, there are just so many people in this community that care about it and love it. And, I think I take a lot of comfort in that and support in that when it's needed. So, you know, and I like my solo runs too, you know, like me and maybe one other person, one or two people, you know, I do take like some running time to myself, which I think is actually really important in this job. Truly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like I work, this is also happens all the time when people are like, oh, are you running the race? I'm like, nope, but I'll be there. I'll be there before you get there and after you leave, you know? And so, like, our whole staff, I think, embraces that. And, again, tons of credit to them. I really, our team's great, but, and so, like, but having some running time that's not attached to an event that you're working is a good thing, I think. And, that I think keeps me going too, to make sure that I take that time that's separate sometimes too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You can find it on Strava.
Exactly. We'll drop the Strava link.
No. I'm the least active Strava person. it'll be like if the race is Sunday, I'm running Saturday or Monday, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone else's travel will be blowing up, and like anyone that works here will be crickets on that day. But getting a lot of steps in, for sure.
Absolutely. You got to get your 10,000 steps in, maybe 5, 10, 10. I want to say yes to all of the things that you just said, because in order for you to be able to show up for other people, you have to be able to show up for yourself. And I think sometimes like personal self-care, we can neglect that because we think we just have to be go for others, and we don't have that investment time for ourselves. You know, there's so much to do when it comes to work. A friend and I were having this conversation the other day of like, sometimes not carving out that R&R time for ourselves, because it's like, okay, like I have to balance work, then I have to balance like community stuff, and then I have to train, and then I want to make time for friends. And yes, all of that is true, but you have to be able to sit with yourself for a moment and figure out, even if you probably already know this, but what matters to you most away from doing all those things, where you're not, you know, that title at work, where you're not, you know, being a listening ear to your friend. Like, what are those things that make you recharge, reset, and allow you, because you have to do that for the expansion. Because you expand, you grow. We just need to do more of that, you know, and realizing that it's okay. It all goes back to it's okay to not be okay. It's also okay to take a step back to realize what you need to be okay. I've learned that the more things that I need to be okay, then I'm really not okay. Like, it's sometimes just the simple and small things that are necessary for me to be able to recharge and be able to show up and sit down with you and be like, hey, Lauren, let's grab a coffee, right? I don't need 10 to 15 things to feel comfortable, you know, and feel confident. It's something simple as just like maybe binging a show, you know? I know some people like to scroll, and I do enjoy like a good TikTok scroll, Instagram scroll, reading a book, you know, making a playlist, going for a solo run. Those things are simple, you know, it might be simple objectively to someone else, but those things are major to you, and you shouldn't take them for granted. And so I love that you're investing into yourself, you know, and then you can just see the investment that you have into yourself, because it trickles on down. It has a domino effect for the students, because now they're getting recharged. Now you don't know what they were experiencing before, you know, they decided to meet up with you and go out for those miles, but because you had that time to just sit and do the things that were necessary for you to show up with love and gratitude and patience in that investment, that's how they're being fed. You know, it's just an interchange of encouragement between you and the other mentors, and truly what Students Run Philly Style has done. You can definitely tell the time, energy, also how tender and delicate those students are being held, and the safe space that they have. I really, really want to give the flowers to all of you at Students Run Philly Style, because our youth needs it. We need the advocacy. We just need more safe spaces. Leaning into curiosity at such a young age, you can do it at any point, but leaning into curiosity and knowing that there are people out there who will support you and will love you. And I always like to think, you know, when I was 21 and I like just finally came out and like left home and was starting like my adventure into the world, you know, there was a saying that I heard: you have yet to meet all of the people that you will be sharing experiences with and will be celebrating you and will be cheering you on. You have yet to travel to all of the places that will shape you, and you'll be able to look back in photos and be like, wow, like I had this moment in time. It just gives you hope. And I think that's truly what the message is with Students Run. It's a beacon of hope for not only just adolescents, but adults as well, that there are people out there who truly care and will invest into you and will love you no matter what.
Everybody needs that, right? Everybody needs that. And there are so many great youth programs in the city. And running doesn't have to be for everybody, but the people it's for, like running doesn't have to be for every person. It just, there's so many different things. But if this is the thing that you love and works for you, then I want this to be a place where everyone can thrive that wants to be in it. And I think, you know, I also want it to be a place where people can try it and say, that was cool. I did that, but I'm going to try something else. Like we want young people to grow and explore, and it doesn't have to be like you're locked in, you know, but there are so many great places across Philadelphia that do incredible work where you can try a lot of different things. So even if you try Students Run Philly Style and you try running and it's not for you, or it's not for you right now, because I believe that, you know, I didn't think running was for me when I was that age, and look what I'm doing. But like if you try that and it opens your mind to be like, okay, I tried something and I don't really want to do that anymore, but now I might try something else. Like that's a win also. And so I just want to like honor that. And even if it's not the thing that you want to do for 6 years, if you do it once, you know, I met somebody recently who came up to me at an event, and she introduced herself to me and she said, I did Students Run. You probably don't remember me. And like, and I, you know, the face looked familiar, but I couldn't place the team at the school because it had been probably like 10 years. And, you know, she said, I only did it 1 year, but I will never forget running Broad Street in the rain, you know, and like, and a lot of people have that memory, I'm sure, but like truly she was like, it's like the thing I remember about middle school. And so, you know, and she went on to do some really awesome things and works for another incredible youth program in the city. That is a win in and of itself. If this empowered you to try something you weren't sure about, and it also allowed you to see that you can try stuff, huge win. So I'll credit everything you're saying in that, like whether that leads young people to us or to some other amazing program. That's a win, a rising tide, right? Like that is a huge win for everybody.
Absolutely. And to your point, adding in, leaning into that curiosity and whatever, like just as you mentioned, just having a willingness to try. That is so important. Like you said, even if it doesn't work out or you realize that it's not for you, you win for it. I always say, like, what's the worst that can happen? You know, I'd rather give myself a yes before someone else is going to give me a no, but I also rather try just to be able to see what I can gain from this. You might not be 100% invested into it. You can, like, you know, like let's take running, for instance. You know, running might not be for you, that form of movement, but you might come across some really amazing individuals that you build some really great bonds with and that connection. And then in turn, they just become like some of your closest friends, and they can introduce you into something else, a different sport, another form of movement. I think just having the willingness to try and having the idea that just having an idea and the willingness to try and leaning into curiosity, that is what matters. And all the other things will follow when you lean into that, because the universe is always willing to reward you when you're at least putting yourself out there and just going for it.
100%. And in our program, our core values are courage, effort, and respect. And it's exactly what you're talking about. The courage to try something, the effort to see it through, and the respect for yourself and other people to do that in a safe and supportive way. And those three things are like the guiding light for us a lot of the time. But it takes, you have to be a little bit curious and you have to have a little bit of belief in yourself and your team to make sure that you get there and you get the most out of it. So I really feel what you're saying.
I can talk to you all day about this, but you know, before we go into the next question, I kind of want to lean in a little bit more to this, because another thing that I've been telling myself recently is that it's never like a loss, there's always a lesson, you know? And if I didn't necessarily do my best at something, that doesn't mean like I'm a failure, you know, and kind of reframing the way that I talk to myself. Like, okay, maybe I have failed, but I'm not a failure, you know, like I made a mistake, but I'm not a mistake, you know, and just that positive self-talk and those positive affirmations. So you try out running, you try out for any sport, and you realize, hey, I may not be the best at this, but I tried, you know, and it can continue to lead into something else. Once again, I truly think there's just something really important about just leaning into community and leaning into like what fuels you on the inside and what you're curious about. We have to be able to do that. Okay. I was like, we can talk about this forever, but there's always a lesson. And I truly think that sometimes when we experience something and it doesn't work out, we can just sit back and think, well, what is this trying to teach me? You know, and you think about Students Run, a student is always learning, you know, that's what I think I'm a student 24/7. Like I constantly want to be learning. You know, they say like never be the smartest person in the room, or you should be kind of just trying to expand your knowledge. Like I'm always wanting to do that. So anytime something happens in my life that was less than favorable, or it just didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, it's never a true loss. It's like, okay, well, what is the universe trying to teach me right now? Yeah. And what lesson can I take away from this to be able to apply it into the next chapter of my life? Yeah. Or what can I do to apply it into my next form of movement? Right. Or this race. This race might not have been my best race, but I had the strength and the capabilities and I learned something. I learned about training. I learned about fueling. I learned about pacing, you know, and how to show up better for ourselves, but also like, you know, I think our community too. But most important is the relationship that we have with ourselves and realizing that, hey, like, you are to be present where you are. I think that's truly what the resonating message that I kind of wanted to leave here, where I was getting to with it.
Love it. So true. Yeah.
Are you sometimes surprised, and I think we talked about this before, by how many people don't know about Students Run Philly Style, and what can we do to continue to bring light into the organization?
Yeah, I mean, it's flattering when you say we're elevating the community. I would like to think we're a part of a larger whole, which is great. And the Philly running community in particular is pretty incredible and super supportive. And, you know, there's so many great run clubs out there and crews and groups. And, you know, at our best, our young people are growing up and growing into those spaces. So I'm really appreciative to everyone that leads a crew that is sort of creating that space beyond our program, because we can't be that for every person once they graduate. If they want to keep running, they can stay with us as a mentor, or they can go on and that's great. Like I said, go try something, go do something. Either one of those things is really powerful. And I think, you're right. Like sometimes people have seen students run. They may have heard about it. I think you see us at races, the Broad Street Run, you know, there's 1,000 Students Run Philly Style runners. So we're hard to miss even in a 40,000 person race, we're hard to miss there at that race. But I think what they don't see is the behind the scenes. And I do think that there's probably plenty of people that it's still new to. You know, we get inquiries on our website, like you said. We get people who say, I saw young people running at this race and it was really incredible. And how do I get involved? We get that all the time. So that's great that that's getting the word out there. But I think in terms of how can more people know about it, I think if you do know about it, like share, I think. And when you hear somebody saying like, what are those kids doing in those blue shirts? Like tell them the depth of the program, I think is probably something that I would say and maybe ask of people is, you know, if you're aware and you know one of our mentors and you know one of our students or their parents, share a little bit more than we just show up for races, because we do that, but we do so much more than that. And that time and really the commitment and that transformation piece, I think, is really big. So I guess that's one thing I would say. And, you know, cheer for our students when you see them. It's always okay to be like, go Students Run. You don't have to know their names, you know, but it is exciting to be cheered for. And I think when our young people come to these big events like the Philly Marathon, like the Philadelphia Distance Run, like the Independence Blue Cross Broad Street Run, it makes them feel special to be seen like that. It's a big deal to go out and be part of this big public event where there's a lot of adults too, and feel like you're also a VIP. It's a good thing, you know? So like cheer them on. I think that's one of the most valuable things that anyone can do at any point at any of these events is to cheer them on, clap for them, you know, be proud of them and accomplish what they're accomplishing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm passing out cowbells to everyone who's cheering. I'm like, make sure you look up for the students running in the blue shirts. Yeah.
Go Students Run is always an okay cheer. And, you know, you may see someone be surprised. I think that's happened plenty of times. You know, I've been cheering and a young person looks at me like, who are you? And the idea is like, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if they know you or not. Like if enough people are cheering for you, it's going to give you a boost. And that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah.
wrapping up because we're almost out of time.
Oh my gosh.
And I know it goes by so fast, doesn't it? And I wish I could sit here and talk to you forever because I really can. For any student, for any mentor, or anyone who's curious about Students Run, once again, leaning into that curiosity, right? And they're trying to decide, should I do this or should I not? Should I be a mentor? Should I go ahead and sign up to be mentored to do a race? Can I do this? What is something, or what is the message that you would like to leave with anyone who is curious about starting their running journey, their mentor journey at SRPS?
Yeah, I would say a more practical piece of advice is you do not need to be a runner to say yes to that question, right? Like that is one thing I think we sometimes have to talk through with folks because a lot of our mentors and our students sign up without any running experience. Absolutely none required. You do not need to have done it to do it. And I think that's pretty standard across all of our teams. We start with like a walk run. We start with a timed, like paced out, like run a block kind of thing. Like we try to make it as accessible as possible across our program. So I would just say that blanket. Anyone can that wants to. And I think no running experience required. I would say that. The other thing I would say is to like, why not? Right? Like, why not try it and see? And if you sign up as a mentor with us, like we have an orientation process, the worst that can happen is you come to orientation and say, you know what, I don't really have the time for this right now, or I'm not ready to make this commitment, because we do ask for a substantial commitment in terms of time. But like, if you come to that and you decide it's not for you, at least you tried. So we're very, like, I would say, why not? And like, come and check it out and, you know, talk to our team and see, you know, if you have questions, ask them. Like, that's what we're here for. That's why we have a staff, right? There is a lot of support in the getting up and running with us from that side. And then as a student, I think I would definitely say, why not? I would say, you know, show up, see how you like it. If you don't like it, you can walk away. But I would say give it a chance. I would say no one's first run is the best run they've ever had. Like ever. Like I would say, like no one's first run ever or first time out is going to be the thing that they fall in love with, you know? And so I would say to give it at least to your first race. And if you train up for that 5K and it's still not for you, then thanks for trying. But I think most of our students that make it to that first race, they end up sticking with it. So, and then the last thing I'd say about it is like, we're here to help as our team. Like that's our main priority is making sure that people have the support they need to do this. We are a volunteer powered organization in terms of our reach, but we have a full-time staff of 8 whose job it is to make sure that if you need something, like we're here to help you. And that can look very different across all the different sites and all the different teams that we have. So like I said, our staff is great. We're here to help. And if you're curious, I'd say, why not? Why not try? And hopefully we'll see you at the start line really soon. Yeah, absolutely.
I resonate with that so much. And I know the listeners and viewers who will listen to this episode will resonate with it as well. It's funny because I sat down with Aubrey Thomas, who's the Nike rep for Philly. And one of the things I mentioned toward the end of our episode is all you have to do is try and, you know, put yourself out there. And what's the, like, you can always, we were laughing because I was like, you can literally always go home. You know? But you never know what the experience is going to be like if you don't try. Yeah.
That's so true. Like, why not give it a shot? And hopefully we're what you're looking for. And if not, we hope you find the other thing.
Absolutely.
We'll help you find the other thing too.
But it's always a lesson and there's always a takeaway. And then once again, just being what a student is, we're students of life, you know? So yes, you strive for something. If it doesn't work out, okay, what is the lesson here? And you can apply it to the next thing in your life. We're constantly students. So yeah, I want to say, I know I mentioned earlier, like elevating the community, but like you said, you're a part of the community, right? So we're all students at the end of the day. And I've truly enjoyed being a student here, listening to you and learning so much more about the organization and all of the incredible things that you're doing. So thank you so much, Lauren, again, for your time and your generosity and just all of the love that you're pouring into everyone. It truly shows.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I feel like I could, anyone that knows me knows I could talk about student structure for as long as you'll give me. So this has been really great, and gave me some good nuggets to go back and think a little more about too. And it's always interesting to see how other people view and frame our program. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Of course, always. And as Josh Perez says, run community all love.
It's true.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's the best. I love him.
Yeah.
And to the other mentors and the students at Students Run Philly Style, just thank you for being you as well. It goes a long way, and you are seen and you are heard. So as Josh Perez says, never discredit your value for anyone. You guys are really doing life-changing work, and we love every single one of you. So thank you so much, Students Run Philly Style, and thank you so much to the Philadelphia running community. Thank you so much, Lauren Kobylarz. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of A Squared Conversation. If you like this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope that you have an awesome day. Take care.